Allow your awareness now to gently settle into the vast, open expanse that lies beneath the restless landscape of your mind. The endless chatter, the constant commentary, the ceaseless weaving of stories that have become so familiar, so deeply ingrained that they almost feel like the very fabric of your being. But notice with a tender curiosity that these thoughts arise and fall away just as clouds drift across an immense, unbounded sky. You are not the clouds. You are the sky itself, timeless, spacious, and infinitely patient. Feel the profound relief that unfolds as you recognize this simple yet transformative truth. Thoughts emerge within you, but you do not emerge from thoughts. This subtle yet seismic shift in perspective carries with it the sweet liberation of no longer being the tireless narrator caught in the endless loop of mental storytelling. Breathe in deeply now, and as you exhale, imagine releasing the gripping illusion that you are the thinker, the one who must constantly command, judge, or control the flow of ideas and images passing through your inner world. Instead, allow yourself to become the gentle, unshakable witness, the silent, unspoken presence that watches the mind's weather with a steady, unfailing gaze. Thoughts come like sudden gusts of wind, like fleeting shadows that play across the sunlit ground of your awareness. Some may carry the chill of worry, the dampness of sorrow, or the heat of desire. Yet none of these fleeting tempests can disturb the profound clarity of the sky that holds them. Feel the spaciousness that arises as you rest in this vast, unruffled openness. This luminous sky of consciousness that remains untouched by the passing storms. You may notice how, for so long, you have identified with the relentless voice that narrates your experience. This inner storyteller who tirelessly tries to make sense of everything, who clings to control, who measures and critiques and plans. But now, gently and without force, begin to loosen your grip on this exhausting role. Imagine the narrator stepping back, dissolving into the background, no longer the center of attention, no longer the one who must weave meaning from every fleeting moment. What remains is the pure, unadorned space of awareness itself, a boundless, welcoming stillness that embraces the entire spectrum of your inner experience without resistance or judgment. Feel the deep, quiet relief that blooms in the heart of this realization as you become more and more acquainted with your true nature as the silent observer. Thoughts arise as naturally as waves on the ocean. Yet you are the vast, calm sea itself, holding all movement within your depths without being stirred. You do not have to chase after each thought, nor must you identify with its content. Instead, you can simply watch with a tender, spacious kindness as these mental ripples appear, shift, and dissipate, each one a transient visitor passing through the open halls of your mind. The relentless need to control or suppress the noise softens, replaced by a gentle curiosity and an effortless acceptance, a knowing that nothing in this moment needs to be fixed or altered. In this unfolding awareness, you can begin to perceive the subtle layers of the thinker's illusion. The mind, so often perceived as a master puppeteer pulling the strings of your existence, reveals itself now as a beautifully intricate but ultimately impersonal process, an ongoing dance of sensations, images, memories, and concepts moving through the field of your consciousness without a center, without a single author. You are not the one who thinks, but rather the open space in which thinking happens. This is the profound relief of no longer being the narrator, the release from the exhausting effort of constantly having to manage, justify, or explain your experience. In this spacious freedom, the mind's activity becomes less of a burden and more of a natural rhythm, like the shifting patterns of wind and light playing over an endless desert, or the gentle sway of branches in an ancient forest. Notice how the more you rest as this open sky of awareness, the more the identity of the thinker, the I who believes they must narrate and control, begins to dissolve, like mist evaporating in the warmth of the morning sun. This does not mean the mind disappears. Rather, the attachment to it loosens, and the false sense of being a separate doer or owner of thoughts gently fades away. The thinker, once so solid and commanding, becomes a mere echo, a passing breeze that no longer defines your sense of self. What remains is the luminous, unchanging presence that witnesses all movement with serene equanimity. Feel into the spaciousness that arises when you stop feeding the relentless narrative machine. The subtle tightening around the edges of your identity softens, releasing the heavy tension of needing to be in control or to make sense of everything. You rest in the profound simplicity of just being, the pure awareness that requires nothing more than the gentle unfolding of this very moment. It is as if you have stepped out of a dark, cramped room where the mind's chatter held you captive, and you have entered an open field under a vast starlit sky where the cool, expansive night air invites you to simply breathe and be. Allow yourself to rest here deeply and completely as the thoughts continue their natural flow, like leaves carried on a slow-moving river. You do not need to grab hold of any one leaf, nor do you need to push them away. They are free to come and go, and you are free to remain the calm water beneath them, reflecting the sky without disturbance. This is the exquisite relief of knowing you are not the thinker. You are the spacious presence in which thinking happens, the quiet, unchanging ground that holds the entire play of mind without attachment or fear. As you rest in this profound spaciousness, notice the subtle shifts that arise in your experience. The incessant inner chatter may slow, or the voice of the narrator may soften to a whisper. You may find moments of silence unfolding between thoughts, like delicate threads of stillness weaving through the fabric of your mind. These silences are windows into your true nature, pure awareness shining through the veils of mental activity, inviting you to discover the boundless peace that has always been present beneath the surface of thinking. Feel the gentle expansion as you realize that this place of observation is not separate from you, but is your very essence. It is the silent, radiant presence that has watched over you through every moment of your life, patiently waiting for you to come home to it. Here in this sacred space, the illusion of being a separate thinker begins to dissolve completely, replaced by a deep, unshakable knowing that you are the open sky, the vast ocean, the timeless presence that simply witnesses all that arises and passes without grasping or aversion. Rest now in this magnificent freedom, in the profound relief of no longer being the narrator. Allow the currents of your mind to flow as they will, while you remain the peaceful, unchanging awareness that holds them all, calm, spacious, and infinitely free. Allow your awareness to settle now into the subtle space between thoughts, that vast, uncharted expanse where the usual chatter softens into a gentle hum, like distant waves folding quietly upon a shore you have forgotten you were ever watching. Notice how the thinker, that ceaseless narrator, weaving stories and judgments, does not stand outside your experience as a master puppeteer, but rather as a passing figure within the landscape of your consciousness. An actor who arises, performs, and then dissolves back into the boundless stage beneath. Thoughts come and go, like shifting clouds in the endless sky of your being, each one appearing with its own shape, density, and color, yet never altering the sky itself. You do not arise inside these thoughts. Instead, you are the sky in which they drift, the immovable vastness that quietly welcomes their presence without resistance or attachment. Feel the profound relief that arises when you release the exhausting identification with the thinker, that habitual voice that insists it must narrate every moment, judge every circumstance, and control every breath. Imagine for a moment the immense freedom in recognizing that this voice is not your essence, but a transient weather pattern passing through the open sky of your awareness. You are not the storm of worries, the flicker of memories, or the spark of desires that ripple across your mind. You are the silent atmosphere that holds them all effortlessly. This realization is like the soft unfolding of dawn after a long night of restless dreams, an awakening to the spacious freedom of simply being the silent witness, the unshakable presence that watches thought arise and dissolve without interference, without judgment, without the desperate need to script a story around it. Observe now how thoughts appear, sometimes like sudden gusts of wind, sharp and urgent, other times like gentle breezes, barely perceptible, whispering unnoticed within the vast openness of your consciousness. They are unpredictable, sometimes fleeting, sometimes lingering, yet they always pass. Notice how the mind clings so fiercely to certain thoughts, as if their permanence defines your reality, when in truth they are as ephemeral as morning mist dissolving in the sun's embrace. This clinging is the illusion of the thinker believing it must hold on, defend its constructed identity, and maintain control over the narrative of me and mine. Yet you, the spacious presence, remain untouched by this clinging. You are the silent sky that does not grasp, the eternal witness that cannot be tangled in the temporary dance of thoughts. Feel now how this spacious presence, this silent sky, is not separate from the thoughts. It is their very ground, their natural home. Without the sky, clouds have no place to appear. Without your open awareness, thoughts cannot be known. But this ground is never disturbed by the passing clouds. It does not try to chase them away, nor does it try to hold them. It simply is infinitely vast, infinitely patient, infinitely free. This is the profound ease of being the witness, the effortless peace that arises when you stop identifying with the restless, chattering mind and instead rest in the knowing that you are the unchanging presence in which all experiences arise and fall away. Allow yourself to become deeply acquainted with this spacious, open presence. Feel how it carries no urgency, no need to explain or justify. It simply is. This is the place where the concept of I softens into a gentle whisper and then fades completely, leaving behind the pure radiance of awareness itself. Here, the thinker loses its grip, its sense of ownership over your experience dissolving like sand slipping through open fingers. You realize with a deep, calming certainty that you are not the voice that narrates your life, but the silent expanse that hears the narration without disturbance. This is the exquisite liberation of not being the thinker, of no longer needing to prove your existence through mental stories or self-referential commentary. Imagine now the mind as a vast sky, and your thoughts as weather patterns, sometimes bright and clear, sometimes stormy and turbulent, sometimes soft and misty. The sky does not resist the storm. It does not try to hold the sunlight hostage. It simply remains, embracing each passing moment with a quiet, unwavering presence. Your awareness is that sky, vast, open, untouched by the fleeting conditions that arise within it. This metaphor is not just a poetic image, but a direct experience, a lived reality that you can return to again and again. The mind's activity is like the weather, transient, unpredictable, changing from moment to moment, while your awareness is the timeless sky, eternally spacious and free. Feel now the subtle shift as the thinker begins to soften, losing its rigid boundaries and frantic urgency. The voice in your head that once seemed so indispensable now becomes just another sound passing through the open air of your awareness. You do not have to follow it, argue with it, or believe it. You can simply listen, knowing you are not the voice, but the silence that holds the voice. This silence is not empty or void. It is full of peace, full of presence, full of an unspoken knowing that there is nothing to fix, nothing to achieve, nothing to prove. You are already entirely complete as this spacious awareness, deeply at ease in the dissolution of the thinker. Notice how this witnessing presence does not judge thoughts as good or bad, right or wrong. It simply allows them to be, like leaves floating on a river's surface, gently carried along without effort or resistance. This non-judgmental witnessing creates a profound spaciousness within you, a sanctuary where the mind's habitual patterns lose their power to agitate or overwhelm. You are no longer caught in the endless loop of mental stories. Instead, you are the open field in which those stories arise and fall. This spacious freedom is the natural state of your being, patiently waiting beneath the surface of your busy mind. Allow the realization to deepen that your true identity is not the thinker, but the silent watcher, the vast sky of awareness in which all thoughts, sensations, and emotions come and go. You are the unchanging presence that witnesses the entire play of existence without being pulled into its drama. This is the profound relief of not being the narrator, the exquisite peace of simply observing the mind like weather passing through an open sky. Rest now in this boundless presence, breathing gently, effortlessly, and allowing every thought to arise, flow, and dissolve without holding on, without pushing away, simply witnessing the magnificent dance of your consciousness as it unfolds in the eternal now.